Alright guys, I need to confess something. A couple of months ago, I fell headfirst into the EDC rabbit hole and spent $1,100 on gear for a life that I don't live. Knives, little flashlights, titanium tools, organizers, all this cool little shit that apparently every grown man needs within 6 inches of his body at all times. Listen, I'm not hating. Some of it makes perfect sense, right? Being in a wheelchair, I actually have an EDC kit with tools specifically for my chair. I'm sitting in this thing basically 24 hours a day. If something comes loose or starts rattling or breaks while I'm out, I can't exactly just shrug it off and hop home. So that stuff, yeah, completely justified. Most of you probably don't need any of it. But then I started watching more EDC videos. And what started as, hey, I should really carry around a few useful tools, suddenly became, holy shit, some of these guys are making valid points. What if society collapses while I'm over at Home Depot? So I bought some of this stuff. So if you like gear, you like making stuff, and you also enjoy occasionally admitting that we're completely full of shit, hit subscribe. Because today we're talking about useless EDC gear I bought because in my head, I thought I was preparing for a much more exciting life than the one that I actually have. Now, before all of you eco-bro EDC guys get all pissed off, I actually like EDC. The original idea behind everyday carry is great. Carry the stuff you use all the time. Be a little prepared. It makes the day easier. All of that makes complete sense. The problem is, somewhere along the line, Big EDC figured out a way to artificially inflate a tax on being a guy. I figured out the process, all right? You take a normal item, you black it out, or you make it out of titanium, you give it a name like the Tactical Urban Survival whatever, put it on a dark background next to a $300 pocket knife for the gram, and suddenly we're all reaching for our credit cards. And look, you're not alone, man. I fell for this shit too. I'm not standing outside the EDC community pointing and laughing. I'm already inside. $1,100 in the last 6 weeks. I bought a ticket and I got the t-shirt. For some reason I own a little crowbar. Which brings us to this thing. Why the fuck did I buy this? When I saw this thing, my brain immediately went, oh yeah, I need one of these. For what? No idea, all right? But someday, in my head, something was gonna need prying. And when that day came, everybody else was gonna be standing there helpless while I slowly reached into my EDC bag and produced a tiny little crowbar the size of a fucking cocktail shrimp. And if I encounter something that actually requires a crowbar, and a real eco-bro EDC guy is there with a man-sized crowbar, I'm gonna feel like a little bitch. That right there was my first realization about a lot of this EDC gear. I wasn't buying tools for problems that I had. I was buying tools for problems I could imagine having. And I know now that my imagination thinks I live a much harder life than I actually do. All right, now this one really got me because I bought a waterproof field notes pad and a pen that writes in the rain to go along with it. I would imagine that these could be completely legit, I guess. People working outside, military, construction, even hikers, right? But there's one small problem. I don't do any of that shit. 95% of my day is spent about 3 feet from a computer. But I remember looking at this notebook in a video and thinking, well, you never know. You never know what, you jackass. When exactly am I gonna be trapped outside in horizontal rain with information so f***ing important that it has to be written down immediately, and somehow or another my phone's not available? That's the mental trick that Big EDC figured out. You stop asking, do I need this? And start asking, could there theoretically be a situation where this would be useful? You could justify buying anything that way. And building on that mentality, I don't even know what the f*** this thing is. Seriously, I bought it. Hold on one second, let me look this thing up. Alright, basically it's a little tritium glow marker you attach to your keys, backpack, or whatever, so you could find that thing in the dark. It glows continuously without batteries or charging. I mean, that's pretty cool, right? If you're outside in the dark, my Glow Rhino Tritium Glow Fob has spent its entire life safely glowing inside a bag, helping absolutely nobody locate anything. And that's impressive because this thing is actually doing its job perfectly. The genius of this product is getting an idiot to pay for it. All right, if you're sitting there thinking, man, I got one of those too, I guess you're my people. Now, this might be my favorite waste of money right here. I bought a titanium foldable spork. Now, I'm going to repeat that in case it wasn't clear the first time. I bought a titanium foldable spork. Not a spoon, not a fork. A titanium folding combination of both that collapses down so I could save space in my wilderness EDC, which I don't have because I'm in a wheelchair. I don't do wilderness. These things are literally designed for backpacking and outdoor cooking because they're extremely light and they take up almost no room. That makes perfect sense, right? If every ounce in your backpack matters, it makes sense. But I'm not backpacking through Yellowstone. I'm eating Chipotle at my desk. I have forks, probably like 40 of them, not to brag. But when I saw the titanium spork, my brain immediately said, hey, you know what we don't have covered? Portable eating. And there it is again, right? I wasn't really buying a spork. I was buying the possibility that someday I might become the guy that needs a titanium folding spork. EDC videos on YouTube do this incredibly well. You're not just buying the object, you're not buying the thing. You're buying the tiny little fantasy version of yourself of a guy that's slightly more capable or a little bit more prepared. A guy who definitely doesn't get pissed off because DoorDash forgot his ranch dressing. Now, this one I did not buy. All right, I'm gonna keep it honest, because even I wasn't stupid enough to fall for this one. An EDC hank is basically a small, reusable cloth that people carry around for wiping fingerprints off their precious gear when it gets dirty, cleaning their glasses, or wiping your brow when you're overheating. Some are specifically sold for those kind of everyday cleanup jobs. In other words, it's a f***ing handkerchief. My grandpa had one, except grandpa didn't take a picture of his on reclaimed barnwood next to a titanium flashlight and post today's carry on Instagram. And look, if you actually use this thing, great, all right? You carry around EDC stuff because it's something that you use every day. I wear glasses. Having a little cloth around makes complete sense for me. But I don't need to enter the exciting, never say die, fast-paced world of premium handkerchief ownership. It may be for you, all right? I'm not telling you what to spend your money on. But that's where I finally figured out what was bothering me about some of this stuff. EDC is supposed to be about utility, but it's really easy for utility to turn into collecting, and collecting turns into upgrading. And upgrading eventually becomes buying a $70 version of a $9 thing because somebody machined it out of titanium or blacked it out. That's how we end up with just drawers full of insanely durable objects that we never use. And listen, I'm not judging anybody because, again, I own the spork. There's a difference between being prepared and buying equipment for a fictional version of yourself. Most of us aren't John Wick or Survivor Man. We're going to work. We're going to Walmart. We're sitting at our desk watching videos about what other guys carry while buying more shit to carry ourselves. And listen, there's nothing wrong with enjoying the hobby. Buy knives or flashlights because you like knives and flashlights and think they're cool. That's enough of a reason. We don't have to invent an upcoming tactical emergency to justify buying it. Basically, I've realized that my best EDC stuff, my most used EDC stuff, is actually boring. My wheelchair tools, a phone, a camera, stuff connected to things I actually do. And maybe that's the test. Before buying another piece of EDC gear, I'm going to ask myself one question. What problem in my actual life does this solve? Not theoretically, or if I'm stranded in a forest, or if the grid goes down. Tuesday. What problem does this solve Tuesday? Because if I can't come up with an answer, I'm probably not buying preparedness. I'm buying a cool little piece of shit that I want. And listen, that's okay too. All right, now I want to know what yours is. What's the dumbest piece of EDC gear that you've bought and absolutely convinced yourself that you needed, and now it just sits in a drawer? Put it in the comments. And please tell me that somebody else out there bought this fucking spork. All right, if this one hits home, hit the like button and subscribe, because we're going to keep calling this out. Till next time, guys, stay loud, stay a little bit reckless, and go out and make something. See you next week.